Welcome back to the Sports News Analysis YouTube channel, where I'm always breaking down the hot sports topics of the day. So be sure to check out my other videos and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube to get all of my videos delivered directly to your inbox. I'm continuing my NFL playoffs previews and predictions with the AFC Championship Game. The Baltimore Ravens will travel to New England to take on the Patriots. Of course, this is a rematch of last year's thrilling AFC Championship Game. The Ravens coming into this game off of a thrilling divisional round win versus the Denver Broncos. They win in double overtime on a Justin Tucker field goal. New England comes in after another pretty dominating performance over the Houston Texans at home by a score of 41-28. So the stage is set for a rematch. Ray Lewis, Tom Brady. Can Joe Flacco get over the hump? Can Tom Brady now add to his record he set with the win over the Texans as having the most playoff victories in the history of the NFL? Can he add to that record and get to yet another Super Bowl? A lot of subplots to this game. Should be a thrilling one up in Foxborough. This is going to be the late game, the 6:30 game on Championship Sunday on CBS. New England first. New England comes in after a game that, I think most people had them winning. I know I had them winning handily, and they did. I personally didn't think that game was ever in doubt, even after the Texans scored those 10 points in 75 seconds at the end of the half. I thought that the New England was in firm control of this game throughout. Preliminary injury reports on Rob Gronkowski is that he broke his forearm again and will miss the rest of the playoffs. Certainly a huge loss for the Patriots. But I feel as though they've been playing without him for long periods of time this year, obviously already. So it's not a situation they're unfamiliar with. I thought last year when he was banged up in the Super Bowl, it was a big deal because he was such a huge part of what they did all season. But you saw the Patriots adjust nicely when Gronkowski went out the injury against Houston. You saw them then, sort of have to scratch their game plan and come up with a different plan of attack, and it worked very well. You even heard Brady say that after the game, and that again is one element that separates New England from a lot of other teams, if not every other team. You have Brady, you have McDaniels, you have Belichick, who have the ability to do these in-game adjustments, which usually serves their team well. New England, the wrinkle they came out with against Houston was Shane Vereen. Shane Vereen, 80 yards receiving, 2 touchdowns. That's always the X factor with the Patriots. What new wrinkle are they going to come out with next week? And I think you'll see them come out with a wrinkle against the Ravens because these teams are so familiar with each other from years past. They even played earlier this year, a game that the Ravens won. So I think you'll see a wrinkle from Belichick and Brady and the boys. Who knows what it will be at this point. But I look for New England to establish the run more in the game against Baltimore. They didn't really have to establish the run that much against the Texans. Again, they're able to pass the ball pretty much at will against the Texans, just like they did in the first game. I look for Stephen Ridley to be more involved in this AFC Championship game. And again, a Welker over 130 yards receiving in the divisional round. He'll certainly be a big part of the offense. And, for Tom Brady in the offense, it's kind of hard to zero in on one player I think is going to make a huge difference other than Brady. Because, Brady's the kind of quarterback that, he passes to the open guy. Whoever the open guy is gets the ball delivered. So it could be a different guy each week that steps up for them, and that's what makes their offense special. Their defense, on the other hand, their defense was getting early a lot of penetration on the Texans' offensive line. You saw Arian Foster get a little bit more established there towards the end of the first half, but I thought the Patriots did a pretty good job against him. The Patriots' pass defense led up a lot of yards against the Texans. I wasn't as worried about the Texans putting up points or posing a threat to the New England defense. I'm more worried about the Ravens in this respect. I think the Ravens got the memo last week. Ray Rice had 30 carries last week for 131 yards. Flacco was able to obviously hit some deep passes, some very important deep passes, and I think those are the vulnerabilities of this New England defense, and most notably their secondary. I think you can run on them. I think the Ravens, if they stay from going up the middle, it always amazes me when you see these teams try to attack New England up the middle. The best player on their defense is Will Fork, and I think it's been pretty well established throughout his career that it's going to be tough sledding if you try to run the ball up the middle. You try to run it at Will Fork, Mayo, and Hightower as the middle linebackers there. So I look for the Ravens to come out and have a pretty sound offensive game plan. But I look for New England to kind of hold their own. They're more of an attacking defense now, which I think is important to remember here. They're not the typical New England sit back, bend, don't break, and then we lock you down once you get in the red zone. This is a more opportunistic, energetic defense that you see, full of younger players. Younger players, I think, are rounding into shape, rounding into form right at the right time here as we head through the playoffs. As far as the Ravens go, the Ravens come into this game offensively. I think they had a very good game. Obviously, they had a very good game last week with the points they put up. They're going to have to shore up the special teams mishaps that happen. I mean, what are the odds of letting up 2 kick return touchdowns to a Peyton Manning team and winning the game? How do you do that? Well, you have a pick six of your own for Baltimore, and you hit a 70-yard touchdown pass when the safety takes the wrong angle and falls down. That's how you beat a Peyton Manning team when his team has 2 kick returns for touchdowns, a punt return and a kick return. But Baltimore, give them credit. The game was there for the taking. Denver couldn't close it out, and Baltimore went and took that game. All right, I'm not big in, Denver lost it, Baltimore didn't win it. No, Baltimore took advantage of an opportunity and won that game, and give them credit. I like Joe Flacco more than most people do. Over 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, which is big for the Ravens. Okay, with their defense seems to always have them in games. Although statistically they may not be the dominant defense they were in years past, it seems as though that defense always does a good enough job to keep them in the game. And I look at that for that to be the case this week. Okay, I look for Flacco to play just like he did last year in the AFC Championship game. I look for him to have a solid game. And I think the key for the Ravens is going to be, does Ray Rice get going, and to what extent can they get him going in the running game? I think that's going to be the key matchup, one of the key matchups in this game. And also, I think that the Ravens, for the Ravens to be able to handle on defense any special wrinkles the Patriots may throw at them, whatever it is. Sort of like Shane Vereen took Houston by surprise, it seemed like. Before you know it, the kid had 2 touchdowns, over 80 yards receiving. And the Patriots were off and running. Can the Ravens detect that wrinkle the Patriots put in? And I think that's, again, going to have a huge impact on the outcome of the game. The Ravens defense, although not great, is certainly not a pushover. They're still opportunistic. They still have Ed Reed in the back end. Obviously, Ray Lewis did have 10 tackles in that game last week. So from a production standpoint, he's definitely feeling better than the wild card round, starting to round into shape a little bit more. As always with Tom Brady, okay, and the Patriots, if you want to stop them, you have to get pressure up the middle, okay, right in Brady's face. You can do it one of 2 ways. You can do it with your down lineman, okay. That's why I think Suggs, I know he's a linebacker, but he rushes the passer, okay. The ability for Suggs and that defensive line to get to Brady without having to blitz, I think is going to be key in this game. And the other way you can stop Brady, it's risky, but another way you can stop him is to bring pressure up the middle, okay, and get to him before the ball is released. That's a more risky way of doing it because of how quick of a release he has and the good chemistry he has with his receivers to be able to read the blitz. All right, you look at when the Giants have had success against them. You look when San Francisco had success against them for the first 2 to 3 quarters of that game. It was the natural pass rush, the 3-4 down linemen, getting pressure on the quarterback, and look for Suggs to have a big say in that. I think his role in this game cannot be diminished whatsoever. And, I think that's going to be another big matchup. The ability for that Patriots offensive line to sort of, come up big in a big spot and give Brady the time he needs to deliver passes. And again, Brady doesn't need that much time to deliver passes. So I look for those to be the key elements of the game. Right now, the Patriots are installed as 9-point favorites at home. I think the Patriots win the game outright, but I like Baltimore plus the 9 to do enough to keep this game close at New England. So again, I like New England to win outright to advance to the Super Bowl, but I like Baltimore plus the 9. I just think these teams know each other too well. I think there's a wealth of playoff experience on both sides. No one on the field is going to be intimidated by the moment, and I look for this game to be a little bit closer than the odds makers feel right now. Baltimore plus the 9, New England to advance to the Super Bowl, however, winning it outright. Let's go with a score of 27-18 18. I think it's 27-18, 27-20. 18 is kind of a weird number, right? Let's go with a 27-20 type score. For New England to advance. Be sure to check out my other videos. Be sure to subscribe to my page to get all of my videos delivered directly to your inbox. You can catch me on Twitter at SNewsAnalysis. And like I said, my NFC Championship preview, which is already up. Enjoy next week. We got 2 more weekends of football. Enjoy Championship Sunday in the NFL. And as always, thank you very much for listening and have a good night.